Welcome to Weird Web Radio, an explorer's guide to hidden worlds of the paranormal and occult, reality-expanding experiences, and the downright weird and bizarre. With your host, Lonnie Scott.
And we are recording. Irisanya Moon, welcome to Weird Web Radio. It is awesome to have you.
It is awesome to be here.
I'm super stoked for it. Now, for people who don't know who you are, real quick, I'm going to go over your bio from your website. It says, Irisanya Moon, pronouns she, they, is an author of 10 plus books. Is it really only, oh wait, it says 10 plus. How many is it now?
That are available for folks to buy or pre-order? Yes. I think it's 13 right now.
Oh, you have to stop right there. You're a witch. 13 is great. No.
I know. That one's Hecate. I did that on purpose. Yeah.
Love it. It says you are a witch, priestess, teacher, and initiate of the reclaiming tradition. A devotee of Aphrodite, Hecate, the Norns, and Iris. She has practiced magic for 20 plus years. They're passionate about the idea that life is, and humans are, love spells. That's interesting. Ever experiencing a dance of desire and connection, moving in and out of the heart, always returning to love. You don't know some people I know, but her teaching facilitation style is immersive, gracious, safe, authentic, and welcoming to inspire transformation and liberation individually and collectively. Irisanya cultivates space of self-care, devotion, divine relationship, whatever that means to you, and community service as part of her heart magic and activism. She's dedicated to helping people remember and celebrate the love spells that they already are. That's very nice.
Thank you.
I like that. I'll have questions about some of that, I guess.
I'm sure. A lot of people do.
Yeah. Before we get into any of that, though, my favorite first question for first-time guests. Have you ever experienced a haunting or what we might call paranormal phenomena?
Yes.
Fuck yeah, you have?
Yes. It was one of my first experiences. I think it's one of my... So there's several that come to mind, but we'll go with the first one because, and some people might not call this a haunting, but I do. I was a young child and I was raised Catholic, and I was really into being like playing church with my siblings. And one day when I was like getting ready to be the priest, because of course I wanted to be the priest, even though I have a bunch of brothers, I heard angels. So to me, that feels like a haunting in retrospect, but it was like lights and sort of these voices that came out of nowhere when I was in this basement by myself. And so I consider that to be a very haunting moment. But also when I first started in witchcraft, I met a teacher who I think had not great intentions for when we were talking. And so she sort of sent this like really negative feeling spirit ghosty situation to my place one night. And it was a very intense experience with a lot of not great energy. It's been a while, so I don't remember all of it now, but I remember seeing things, I remember hearing things and feeling like it was trying to be damaging. And then I can't remember what my partner of that time and I did, but we got rid of it somehow. So.
You got rid of it somehow.
Somehow, can't remember. I think it feels very much like out of, a movie where it's like you're not welcome here, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. That's what I remember at least, but it's been probably 20 years at this point.
Yeah. So. What would you do now? It's say someone says, Irisanya, I know I've got spooky shit going on here and I need your help. What do I do? What would you tell them?
I would first ask them about how they maintain sacred space in their space, and also how their emotional sacred space is. I would look at those two things and sort of ask what's going on there and shore up both of those and see how that goes.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
When you said like seeing things, hearing things. Um, so we're talking about, I mean,
Mhm.
ghosts, spirits, etc. They're all sort of in that same realm of we don't know exactly what they are. Um, when you say see them, do you have that experience? Do you see them the way you see me now? Or are you saying you see them more like in your mind?
Yes. It's a little bit
Yes.
of both. It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So those past experiences were very visceral. Ones in this moment are not as much. More like in these moments, it's more I sort of see it in my mind, but not really see it. I don't know really how else to explain that. But it's more of I understand that there's a presence and I can understand the energy of it rather than having to like see it in order to know it's there. I think
Mm-hmm.
that'd be my
Okay.
guess at least. So
Yeah. I like asking that
mm-hmm.
because I know there's someone listening right now who experiences things like this in their way and they think they're crazy. you know
Real. Mm-hmm.
because we tend to use this language a lot, that we see it or we hear it or something, but we're not, unless you're being more explicit about how you really experience that.
Right.
I know a lot of people think they're doing it wrong because they don't see them the way we see each
Yes.
other.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's
I
nice to break that down.
agree. Like I tell that to folks all the time when I'm leading trances and meditation, and I really try to use language that doesn't always focus on seeing because not everybody can. And I
Right.
personally, when I go into trance, it's not a movie screen, but I do see, like I do understand that I'm sensing something. So I think that
Yeah.
giving like a wide like berth for experience is really smart because
hmm
everybody has just different things. Like I often smell things. I often, get like these weird sort of poems or quotes or phrases or something out of the blue. And that to me is also something. And, but I'm not necessarily able to be like, describe to you this amazing psychedelic sort of vision because I'm so jealous of those, but I
oh.
don't get that, at least not yet.
Oh.
So
I need that
darn it.
sound. Oh.
Oh, we do need that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when it comes to trance stuff, I was gifted a full HD experience in my brain. It's wonderful until it isn't. But when it comes to spirit work and that kind of thing, I don't see them. Not even a little. I sense presences, and I kind of know, like, to have that intuitive knowing of what's being said, but I don't really hear them necessarily either. It took a long
yeah,
time to fine tune that, that sort of understanding that my skills were in a realm where the language of see and hear and stuff don't apply,
exactly. And
even
I
though
think
in
that
trance
that's,
I can. Yeah. Sorry, go
mhm.
ahead.
No, I was going to say, no, I was just agreeing with you. So just
Oh, yeah.
louder
Nice. Okay.
agreement.
Since you agree, that's it. We're done. No.
Yep, that's it. So this has been fun. You can
This
find
has
me at,
been
yes,
great.
right.
um it also says in here that you are part of the reclaiming tradition.
Yeah.
Now, has that been your path into witchcraft all along, or is that where you started?
Yes. That is not where I started, but it's where I would say that most of my training and experiences. I
Mm-hmm.
started in witchcraft with Scott Cunningham and all of those books. I think it was one of the first times you could order a book on a website. I ordered it because I lived in the Midwest back then, and people didn't like witchy things. And so I ordered that. But one of the following books was The Spiral Dance by Starhawk, who is one of the founders of the Reclaiming Witchcraft tradition. And so I found that book pretty early on. And then I moved to California in 2005. And through fortuitous events, my
Fortuitous.
fortuitous, synchronicity, all of that. My partner of the time was going to school with somebody who was an organizer for California Witch Camp, and she was like, "Oh, you're partner should go and all of this. And so I went to California Witch Camp, which is put on by the Reclaiming Tradition. And I met a bunch of people, thought everybody was absolutely nuts. And I was like, this is overwhelming. And also this is home. And the first camp that I ever did was actually a Freya and the Grisendamen was the theme. And so for a whole week, you do magic and classes and all of that and rituals every night. It's very intense. And after that, I decided, you know what, I think I'm going to try out some of this tradition. And I took the core classes, started taking those the next year, and then started planning rituals for public settings. And then I started teaching, and then I started teaching at witch camps. And yeah, and then I got initiated in 2014, I think.
Okay.
So, and now I'm in it. You know, I teach a lot of classes through Reclaiming. I'm an initiator of folks, and also I've done organizing and led teams and mentored and all of the things. So that's my main tradition, but I'm really kind of eclectic and I kind of do intuitive stuff. That's what Reclaiming is really helpful for. Mm-hmm. They're very much like one of the main tenets that we talk about in classes is you're your own spiritual authority rooted in community. And that means I can do things the way that work best for me. However, my actions also have an impact on others. So I have to remember that.
Nice. I like that.
Right? I love it.
Yeah. What else is it about Reclaiming that sets it apart from other flavors of witchcraft? What makes it stand out and call to you so much beyond just that? It can't be just that one thing, because I think that's something that's common with a lot of witchcraft.
That has been my experience, but I understand why you say that. I would say that for me, Reclaiming is also a place of support for discovering new techniques for ritual. There's a lot of support for different ways of teaching. There is a lot of community through various avenues, whether it's through camps or local communities or rituals, etc. And for me, Reclaiming is also, you know, at its core and at its roots, an activist tradition, and is very concerned with, I think one of the taglines is, I can't remember if it's an old one or a new one, an eco-feminist tradition seeking to unify spirit and politics. And that to me,
that's a mouthful.
That is very attractive. I'm very glad I got that all. That is actually what it is.
That's impressive. You can have your keys back. There you go. No.
Thank you. My first book with Moon Books was on Reclaiming. And so I also got a real crash course in history. So.
I remember being told when I was, I was young. I live in the Midwest, so I understand where you came from. And for the record, I think every time you say California Witch Camp out loud, a conservative just falls over from a stroke.
One can wish.
What was it when I was a kid in the late 90s, you know, going to like big pagan festivals and stuff around St. Louis, I remember very clearly them talking about Starhawk being an eco-terrorist.
Yeah. Where's that proudly?
Yeah, and I'd be like, that makes her even cooler. Are you trying to scare me away?
Right? Oh yeah. The stories of activism and Reclaiming are amazing and abundant and ongoing. And one of the books that I wrote, I can't remember when, but I actually compiled a bunch of stories from different activists in Reclaiming from around the world, and got to see all these different, you know, the timelines of when things happened, how people do different things in different places. And yeah, it's a really delightful history that is it's very much an oral tradition sometimes. So I wanted to collect some stories, and also I collected a timeline so that you can see sort of the progression of things from like WTO and Diablo Canyon and everything like that to up to Black Lives Matter and whenever that book came out, which I can't remember in this particular moment, but it was 22 or 3. Can't remember.
It's out there somewhere. Yeah.
It is. Yes.
Yep. How about a reclaiming anthology, where every author puts their mugshot in as their bio photo?
I mean,
allegedly. I'm not saying y'all got caught, but
I mean, who knows? We're still a growing young tradition, so who knows? It could still happen.
Saying there's a chance.
There's always a chance. I have a friend, one of my friends in the tradition who's also a teacher. We used to jokingly say that we wanted to make like trading cards of all the teachers in reclaiming, and how many trance points everybody has, or how can they drum, things like that. So it could still happen. But we decided if we were going to do that people might have feelings about how we ranked people. And so if you ever find a very mysterious set of cards with a bunch of reclaiming teachers on it that was just put somewhere for someone to find, I mean, who knows? It could happen someday. And I would know nothing about it.
I want to find them. I'm a tarot junkie. I collect cards.
I just think it'd be amazing. I was like, oh, it's so good.
Love it. It'd be the only oracle deck ever that suggests doing. Well, we won't get into that.
No, that's for another show.
Yeah, we'll bleep all that out. No,
yeah, we'll warm up. We're warming up.
Don't want to get people in trouble. I love
they can do that on their own. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So after all these years of practicing and really finding a home in a tradition, teaching and all that, reflecting back over that time, what has the word witch come to mean to you?
Yeah, that is a great question, and still, something that's evolving, I would say, for me. But for who I am, at least in this particular moment, on this particular day, is that a witch is a person who is empowered to make change in the world. And that is vague because I think everybody has their different ways of doing that. But for me, witch is very synonymous with being empowered, with being resilient, with being courageous, to say the thing that needs to be said, to do the thing that needs to be done, and to also look at, for me at least, look at my own stuff and how that is impacting how I see the world or how I'm moving through the world. So I think a witch for me is someone who can step into their own power, and who, for me, I know what I feel the most witch, I guess, with a capital W, when I feel like when I'm self-possessed, when my energy fills the edges of me, it's not shrinking and it's not trying to go too far beyond. And it's an ongoing process. I
love it. That's nice. Let's see. Where do we want to go next? Let's go first. I think the first time you hit my radar with the things that you write, because the Greek thing isn't like, other than Hecate, I never really dipped too much into anything Greek related. But I think it was your book about the Norns that brought you into my awareness. And then I immediately got very just enamored with the things you do, your vibe. You're, like I said before we started, I think you're an incredible person. And I love the work that you're doing. How did you decide to write a book on the Norns? We'll start there. Like, I'm always curious when somebody writes a lot of different books about different beings. But how'd you land on the Norns?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about how to tell this without telling a whole story of all the books. I think the Norns.
Tell a story about the whole book. Tell the story.
Great. How did I get into this whole writing business?
Yeah.
First of all, I'm a professional writer anyways. I started my own sort of company / self-employment thing when I moved out here. Like, I'd started it right before we moved. And so I just write. And then I guess I got online and Moon Books saw me, and I got asked to contribute to a couple of anthologies. I'm in a lot of their anthologies. You'll see that. Like, I think the first thing I ever wrote was like about Hecate and probably about Iris. And then suddenly they asked me about, would you write a book on reclaiming? We don't have one. Really terrifying to write your very first book with your name on it about your tradition.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend that, but it was a
No.
good, it was a good start. I mean, it was great. It was a really good learning experience. And then after that, I wanted, there wasn't an Aphrodite book. And I was like, Aphrodite is sort of my girl. And so I'd love to write about her. And then I, got asked to write another book after that. And then came Iris, because there's nothing on Iris. And then, a couple books down, because I'm sure I get them all confused now. Apologies.
Sure.
The Norns got in there because I've always worked with the Norns. They came through in, I think, a class I took in reclaiming, or a class that I taught. I can't remember which one, or maybe it was at a public ritual, and I got to know them, and it was something about their energy that had really pulled me in. And my ancestry would really connect me more to Norse mythology than to Greek, but the Norns for me they made sense of the world. They made sense of these experiences I would have why is this happening now? Why, when this happened, then this happened. And it sort of gave me a story and beings that helped me make sense of how we're all connected, or how we could be. We want to be, allegedly. But I worked with them. I have done a lot of possessory work with them. I've done a lot of ritual work with them. When I was part of a coven that had 3 people in it, we actually did a trance during a Samhain ritual where each of us was one of the Norns, one of the main Norns. And that just solidified it for me. And I'm also just in love with Verdandi. You're not supposed to have a favorite Norn, but I definitely do. And they have, Verdandi has been with me and has been the biggest lesson giver, I think, in the background of everything else I do. So it's not a hierarchy of the gods that I work with. The Norns are everywhere. And that is very appealing to me, to know that there are helpers in the background, or maybe witnesses. They always help. But Verdandi has always been, come to the present, come to the present, come to the present. Every moment is a moment where you have a chance to make a difference, where you have a chance to do something different. And that has worked really well for me. And for the Sagittarian that I am, that would rather jump way ahead, they have helped me become more grounded and weave my own sort of story throughout all of this witchery and humanness.
Nice. When I shuffle the tarot decks for tarot readings, I clear them, just riffle them a few times to clear the signal from the last few readings, and then I shuffle 9 times to represent, the 9 attested realms or worlds or whatever in Nordic mythology, although there is a lot of argument over whether they are or not. Welcome to heathenry.
Welcome to mythology.
Yeah. And I split the deck 3 times, and I always say it out loud, Yurth, Verthandi, and Skilled. And then I pull the middle pile out that's what I pull the cards from for Verthandi. I always say I want to speak to her, because I don't do fortune telling. I'm reading for your problems now, or your hopes and dreams now. I'm going to tell you what you need to know now. So I thought that was cool that, you feel like you have that connection with Verthandi that way. Because I will tell you, I guess real quick, in case people who don't know what the Norns are, the Norns, big Norns, are the 3 maidens said to be at the foot of the world tree, Yggdrasil, maintaining the well and the tree. And there's some mythos about that. But one of the key things said about them in, I believe it's in Volospa, is that they cut the lots, they cut the shapes, the destinies of humanity. And even the gods can't, argue with them on what's going to be said or done. One of the coolest things concerning that in the mythos really is when Odin and his brothers encounter Ask and Embla as trees, and then they give them these gifts that shape them into humans. Amongst the gifts, destiny is not one of them. Fate is not one of them. That is still referenced given by the Norns. which is very interesting. But
Mhm.
where I'm going with all of this is historically something that like the academics and the scholars always want to point out is there's no real evidence that um, the Norns would have been worshipped or worked with or honored. Now, I do laugh when scholars want to go too hard on that front, because if you're looking at the pencil tip of evidence that we have compared to the entire mountain of pencils that we've
Mhm.
lost, um,
Mhm.
just calm down. You're not that. Don't
Yeah.
be so arrogant. Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
but you and others have gone into that direction of working with these energies and forces that we
Yeah.
call the Norns.
Mhm.
Do you find that working with these beings that are so tied to the idea of time and fate, destiny, um, again, those words don't quite mean what people think they mean in regards to them. Does it feel different, I guess, in regards to them as than it would than say working with Aphrodite?
I think that I think that all relationships are unique, human or
Mm-hmm.
not. And so, yes, it does feel different. For me, I think, sort of speaking to what I said before, is that the thing with the Norns is that while they weren't necessarily, as far as we can tell, weren't really worshipped, they are everywhere. They're in
Mm.
every story. They are the background of everything. They are the reason why a lot of things happen,
Yeah.
or they have created the circumstances in which a lot of things can happen, or people try to get away from those things happening and they happen anyways. And so for me, it's more of I feel them more as, if I have to create like a category, like allies. And
I like that.
I personally don't work with deities in a hierarchical sense. I mean, I definitely think highly of them, but I don't do the hierarchy bit. And so it's hard for me, and amongst my gods at least, to sort of be like, I don't know, like, where do they all fit? But the Norns are allies, and then Norns are sort of the ones for me that sort of get me back on track. Like, it's sort of, we're like, hey, there's a bigger picture here. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to, there's a bigger picture and there's a direction that you're heading. And, just remember that. Not necessarily what it is, but remember that. And remember that what you do matters, no matter who you do it with.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is like not friends, but like we're getting into the ally friendship sort of situation for me. Maybe co-conspirators, maybe collaborators.
I like that.
Yeah,
Conspirators, right?
something like that. I think they're conspiring a lot, but I think that I get to be a part of some of that. But also, I think that they're just the greatest truth tellers. I
Mm.
think that they are this is it, and however you interpret that is your own business. But I do believe that there are fates that are out there, and I do believe that we have ways to step into them in different ways.
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
can meet things the way we meet them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you believe? See, I know um, part of the idea of fate in in what survives in Nordic folklore, in the Nordic story world, which I think most of it comes from post conversion and um, the most recent heathen period being heavily Viking influenced by what was recorded anyway, what was remembered. And I think that has a lot to do with some of the just the utter dire grit in some of the concepts you see. But at the same time, I think part of what we see being illustrated as fate in those old concepts from them is these, in part, really is just like it's understanding I'm going to die. There's no way around that you will die. And maybe they thought it's fated. But there also seems to be, in story after story throughout the sagas and everywhere else, it's almost like that's the only thing they're really concerned about being fated is the fact they're going to die. There's plenty of application of magic and medicine and everything else to
Mm-hmm.
try to overcome something or win something or deceive something. So I guess where I'm going with all that is fate. Since we dipped into the Norns, like, do you think there are things that are just hard written fated for us? And then how much freedom do we have?
For me personally, not for anyone else. I do. I
We are not
believe
speaking
that,
for you. No.
I am not speaking for you. So if you're upset with my answer, it's not about you. I would say that for me, I do believe that there is a thread of fate that has led me through my life. I have seen it. I have seen myself try to move away from it. And, you know, do I know where it's ending up? Absolutely not. But I do know that there has been a through line in my life, and almost like a spell that keeps building. And so I do believe that there is some sort of fate, destiny situation that I am a part of. I also, you know, could be wrong, so, which is fine. But I won't know. But also, you know, I think that it's important to realize, like within Norse mythology and a lot of the academics too, is that there's a lot of different versions of what that means, and there's a lot of like life circumstance and where you're born, and there's a lot in there that also impacts that. So it's not without nuance. Like, it's not really a yes or no question to me. But also, I, like, even recently, some of the choices that I've made, even though they seemed really big and seemed kind of impossible, everything just flowed as soon as I made that choice.
Yeah.
And I have seen that happen in my life more than one time. And I'm kind of on team fate. I think that I also have a lot of choices within that, but I think there's a bigger thread kind of yanking me along.
Yeah. I think, you know, I'm 48 years old at the time of this recording. And at this point in my life, it's become easy to look back and see these moments and decisions that were made, or events that occurred that steered me in a particular direction, that definitely led me in what would feel like the right path ultimately. And at the same time, I can see where I have stayed in a situation or been too afraid to make that choice or something, and you can see where it had a negative impact on you. Certainly didn't feel ultimately you were on that right path until you decided to go ahead and go in that other direction. I think those are the ways we can actually look back and recognize when we are either flowing, as you said, or wrestling, entangled with certain moments through time.
Yeah. Am I being pulled or pushed? And I think, or am I taking that step on my own? I have definitely been pushed. I have also been dragged. I have also been, you know, but there's also been times where I've definitely said, this seems absolutely ridiculous that this is going to happen. There's no way. And then it happens. And I'm so grateful. Let's say that real quick. I'm real grateful. But there are things that I can't explain. But also, humans are really good at storytelling and looking back and going like, oh, this is how this all went together. So there could be a case there too.
That's true too.
That's fine. But also, if the point of knowing about fate and knowing that you're going to die and that it's all like you want to have impact, perhaps, I think maybe that's the corollary to that, is that you do want to tell a story. You do want it to make sense so that what you do next fits that story.
Yes, I like that. Now, in a universe where fate is a force that we are, you know, influenced by, where does that leave room for things like magic and witchcraft?
I think that one of the things that magic and witchcraft is really good at with fate is getting creative with what the impact of actions are. And so for me, if the fate is some bigger message or some bigger action, like I would say that the biggest magic for me in the world is the arc of time bends towards justice. Like, there are ways that magic can help us move there and move the piece in the big board of chess or something, like closer to that, and move it in a way that is potentially less destructive. I say that with a very big sigh,
I
but
saw that.
also because that's not true entirely, right? But
Yeah.
like that's the hope, right? Like the hope is to maintain some awareness and some sort of intentionality. But I think magic does help us refine our intentions and refine the actions that we individuals take and who we, what we can take as a collective. I think that it can help pool energy towards the things that really matter in our smaller communities, in our homes, in ourselves. I think that's part of it too, because that's all part of the bigger picture too. And I think magic also, for me at least, continues to like reaffirm or reignite my relationship with hope, and that I am part of a long line of people who had to hope in order to get through things. Like they couldn't just give up. Magic is that whole history of that is not giving up. And so there is a big part of that for me, that it is, magic is also about hope and resilience.
I like that.
So yeah, magic good. Yeah.
Magic good, hope good.
Hope real good. Please don't give up, folks. I know it seems really hard. Like I get it, but also if we didn't have any hope, why would you do anything? And even if it's my big thing, I come from an activist tradition, and also that's the way I've been my whole life, is that even if what I'm doing right now is not helping the right now, it is helping the future, probably. And so it still matters. In a society that really wants everything to be instantaneous, and like if it's not working right now, then we need to walk away. That's not what activism is, and it's not really what change is. Yeah. It takes time. And because if you did everything really quickly, that would also backfire. So you have to be committed for the long haul, and that magic can help us along the way. And yeah, I think that it is a much more, I don't know, it's a sustainable belief system for me to keep up with everything. Also, you see all these stories of impossible odds and people get through it, right? And so it's also helpful in that.
Yes. I really like that. That was excellent. Let's go. You said Aphrodite is your, how'd you say that? Aphrodite is my girl.
My girl. I don't know. Like I change that all the time. My main squeeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. My teenage daughter has a little altar to Aphrodite in her room. She's super into Aphrodite and Greek mythology. She's had that in there now for about 2 years. So I guess, first of all, for totally selfish reasons, how do I get a young teen girl situated with appropriate levels of worshiping a being like Aphrodite?
The first thing I would say for adults too is read the stories. We don't have to get into academia and everything. Like read stories, read what people have written about her, watch all the different things that are on TV, like all the different ways the gods are showing up. Because those stories matter too, even if they're not quite what the original texts are. But looking at stories and falling, into with gods, sort of, I think of, like I wrote a book about this, it's not coming out for a bit, but it's about relationship building with gods and how to do that well, but also to think about how the way we build human relationships is really similar, and why we're not drawing on that is beyond me. Like when you want to meet, you want to like learn something about somebody, often you Google them, but that's also appropriate for gods. I mean, Googling that, like going on a search engine, not AI folks, but going into a search engine and finding out what stories, what's been said about this one. What do you think? And then thinking about, what do you think about that? Does that make me want to learn more? And it might not. And you might go, okay, not the god for me. But I would say start there. Fall in love with the stories. Look at how people have written about them. Look at how these folks have been worshipped, how they've been, what festivals were created for them, things like that. And really immerse yourself in who they have already been before you met them. And then from there, you might decide, okay, I want to learn more. And that's when I would start to move into, a sitting practice of just hanging out with the gods, having an altar, Maybe looking at some books and trying some things that the other people have said, but also creating your own magic with them, because it's your relationship. And if there's anything I would encourage folks to do, is to look at building relationships with gods is pretty darn important, and something that not only benefits your relationship with them, but also benefits your relationship with other folks. Because when you're good at relationships here, you're probably good at them in another place too.
Yeah.
You know, how do I show up? I don't just, you know, it's not like you just pray to the gods enough and then they give you something. You know, they're not gumball machines. We also don't do that with humans, hopefully. That's manipulation. So I don't really want that. You know, you're not doing something to get something. You're doing something because you want to be there. And I think that starts with stories.
I like that. I mean, I'd give similar advice. What are the gods to you? Like, I know that's not the best way to ask that question.
I understand why you ask it.
Yeah. Like, but I think you get what I mean. Like, when you say gods, goddesses, and stuff, like, what are these beings to you?
Yeah, to me, so it was really great. I took a priestess training many, many years ago, and that was a question that we posed. And everybody had different answers because everybody experiences them differently. But for me, the gods for me are distinct in their personalities, and they are distinct in their stories. And I recognize that's funny coming from Greece, but it'd be funnier if I looked into the Roman stuff. But what I would say is that they're distinct beings with distinct energies. I believe that they are beings that exist energetically and that exist because we keep telling their stories. And I think that through those stories, through what we know, through the relationships we build, they become and continue to be powerful allies, powerful, I would go back to co-conspirators. I would definitely go to, you know, the wise older sister is sometimes the energy I get from gods, or the wise, like the one that's been around more. It's not necessarily that they're better, they just know more and they have more perspective than I do. And that to me is a really good foundation, or at least can be, for creating a relationship, a connection. Like, I am really big into devotion versus supplication to the gods. And that devotion means that we help each other, like we work with each other, we help each other. You know, my energy towards them hopefully helps them and honors them and continues their stories, but also they offer back to me wisdom, energy, maybe a little nudge in the right direction, maybe some help with a really hard situation. But it's a friendship more for me. And yeah, I'm not a get on your knees sort of person for deity. I'm sure I'll get taught that at some point, but that has not happened to me yet. Even I went to Athens, and that I still was like, yeah, this is great. Like, just reciprocal relationships are just a thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, if I think of Aphrodite, for example, like I was very vehemently against Aphrodite for a while. And then she kind of sought me out, and I was like, dang it. And then I decided, oh, okay, we'll give this a whirl, and it's changed my life. And that's the power of belief, and also the power of her energy and her, I guess, you know, her stories. That she just, I said, no, you are like a Barbie doll god, and I'm not into it. Give me Hecate, give me Caradwyn, give me, you know, any of it. Give me Nona,
the dark stuff.
All the dark, like, because, you know, I think it's that thing too. Maybe it's a Midwest thing. It's like, if it's not hard, it's not worth doing, right? And to be clear, Aphrodite is not easy. If you ever,
I
because I thought that was like, oh, it's going to be so easy. Loving yourself is hard work. And me coming to the place where I think of like life as a love spell is hard work and ongoing. And yeah, I mean, I just think of her as she's been waiting for me to show up, and then I did.
Mm-hmm. Now
I have to keep working at that. So
yeah, don't we all?
yeah.
Um, you do mention that you teach, and on your website you talk about mentoring and this whole idea of um, life being a love spell.
Yeah.
Can we get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I love this
Yeah.
story. So this is actually, that phrase came from a conversation I had with a friend. We were teaching at a witch camp in Australia, and the theme was Demeter and Persephone, and it was supposed to focus on the ascent, like not the descent of going down. And one of the things we were talking about, because he and I were just talking, I guess, I don't know if it was in a planning meeting or it was between, but he said something about the love spell of life. And that just kind of stuck with me. And then the afternoon, I wrote a song called Life is a Love Spell. And it ended up being sung at the camp, been sung a whole bunch of times. The point of all this is that for me, that has continued to unfold. That my life is a series of decisions of showing up to love myself and to love others. And that can go really badly, as some love spells have, right? But it is everything I do can contribute to either fostering that or not. And I think my bio says something to the effect of, moving in and out of connection. That's love. Some days you're really in it, some days not. And it's the coming back to it that is the spell. It is the return. It is coming back to my heart, coming back to what's important to me, coming back to what serves a greater good, what serves the good of the gods that I work with. And that all of those are like the pieces of a spell. And the more that we think about those, the more it can create lovely things in the world. But as a lot of people who are listening to this know, love isn't always like peachy keen, right? Like sometimes love is about showing up when you don't want to. And sometimes love is about compromise. And sometimes love is having the really hard but truthful conversation. So that's all part of it too. And so the work that I do when I do like priestessing trainings focused on Aphrodite is, how can I show up for the spell that I already am? How can I show up and what do I want to create in the world? Maybe love is not the word for you, but maybe a different word would be. But for me, that really works. And I think of it as heart magic because it's the thing that keeps us going and can keep us going throughout a lot of things, personal and collective.
Yeah, beautiful. Love it. Love it. There's that word.
Yeah. Well, my friend, yeah, right. And my friend, my friend's name is Jera. Jera, yeah. And that was a really lovely moment because it was like everything sort of congealed because you're thinking about Demeter and Persephone and the story of that, the mother's grief over the loss, but also other tellings where Persephone went down and was like completely like, this is my job. I can't not do this. And so again, story can inform a lot of things, and there's more than one version of every story that you have probably found.
That's the beautiful thing about myth, though, right? I think is that it's not literal. It's something that has so much inspiration and value and ethic and lessons and who knows what you'll discover. And I mean, I go back to stories in the Nordic mythology that I've read 100 times,
Yes.
and I notice something cool, or it makes me think of something different every time I go back to it. I go to the well, I get something different. I love that about the stories.
I do too, because we're different people when we meet the stories. I'm a different person from the one that had to read the Iliad when I was in high school and hated it. And like now I look at that thing all the time. And, stories, yeah, they emerge differently for us because we've had different experiences. And there's also different translations. And for me, I always think of story and like thinking about not always looking at the main character, looking at what else is happening. And there's just so much to be gleaned out of that. And even if you didn't grow up with Greek mythology, because I didn't, these stories abound, even if you don't know them as Greek mythology or Norse mythology. Like those stories are still in sort of humanity. The story of the hero, the story of the one who was misunderstood, the story of somebody who sacrificed everything to get some knowledge. They're everywhere.
Yep. If you ever
And
had to cross dress to get your hammer back,
you know what? I mean, coming to a movie theater near you, and also, I mean, not too shabby at all, those two. But I think, I mean, we love myth. And, I just think there's so much richness in that, and it's so incredibly human, the stories that we tell.
I agree.
And the stories that we're creating.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And to the point, like one of my favorite examples is when I teach heathenry to other people, I hit on animism being such an important element in it. And people are like, well, it never says explicitly in any of the primary sources. I'm like, but it does everywhere. If you're reading it. And I always use Baldur's death as my example. I'm like, before we even get to the end of that story, essentially, Baldur has all these bad dreams about what's going to happen to him. And Frigg, his mother, is very concerned and goes to everything in the world, everything except mistletoe. And I'm sure there's some cultural thing we've lost concerning that. But the point is, it was too young to do harm. And that ends up being the thing that kills him. Spoilers. But that's not why we're here. The point is that she asks everything. Please promise you will not harm my son. And then after he's dead, and then the whole, go to hell to try to, hell is the underworld in Nordic mythology, is to try to get Baldur back. And well, the goddess Hela says, if everything will cry for him, then I will allow. And then again, they go to ask everything to cry for him. The both sides of that, you have a extremely powerful goddess asking everything from people, other gods, a blade of grass, a flower, a tree, a river, a lake, a mountain, a rock. Please don't hurt my son. So for me, that speaks volumes that the world is alive and full of spirit and agency in Nordic myth.
Yep. Yeah. And also, we can talk about gods, I can talk about them forever. But also, you don't have to work with them either. That's also a real part of this whole thing too. You don't have to. But I personally have to believe, like, animist forever, always have been. I'm also part of nature. I don't, where that all got disconnected and weird is annoying to me. But like, we're also nature. And so why are we, like, often in other religions, you're creating this like big separation, and we're not separate. So why are we not? We're alive. Why can't other things be? Why can't they also have qualities and stories?
I agree. We're getting near the end here. For someone listening that's new to all of this, we've got plenty of advice for what they should do, right? But what's something you think they should avoid?
Yes. I think when you're first starting out, avoid listening to too many people. I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed online. I think it is, if I have to put it down to just what you avoid thinking there's just one way to do something. Like, really, if you're reading anything that says this is the only way to do it, I would steer clear of that. I think that really takes away your agency, and like, it can, especially when you're doing something new and you want to do it right. I totally get it. Stop worrying about getting it right and start just doing and seeing what works for you. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't like what you do. There's always going to be something that doesn't work. So instead, like, I think that maybe the stop is stop hesitating and do. Magic is supposed to be fun. I really believe that. And I think that the more that we can give people, or like empower folks to, or give them the permission, I guess is the best way to say that, to try things out, the better. Otherwise, you're just going to sit there and never do anything. And magic is a powerful tool. It can be a very powerful tool personally and politically and collectively. But it begins with you trying. So stop worrying about what other people think about what you're doing. Stop. Right. Don't worry about it. Everybody's going to have an opinion. Everybody. So,
yeah. They're not as worried about you as you are. I guarantee it.
No, absolutely not. And if folks have time to like critique you, they're not focusing on their own thing. So really, you know, I always say that a group of witches is an argument or a conflict. And that can be very true. But it doesn't have to be. You can also do your own thing. Figure out your own thing first. Get a foundation. I was solitary for many years before I ever did a tradition. And you don't have to do a tradition. You never have to. But also it's fun to be in community.
Yes. So all of that. Yes. Okay. I guess this is a good place to stop. But before, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that I did not bring up?
Oh, there's so many things. We don't have time for another snippet of things. But was there anything else that I feel would be very fun to say in this one order to talk about? I think that I would just, along the lines of like advice, is the idea of expand your horizons, read multiple translations of things, read all, don't be afraid to find the wrong thing. There's always going to be sources that are dubious, but also dubious sources still inform some cool magic. So,
yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
So
I mean, you're not wrong.
No, so I say, get out there and, make sure that you're reading more than just white academic men stuff.
Yes.
That's what I would say.
Yes.
please try to move beyond that. Most of my books try to focus on women-led translations because of that. Like, it's fine. Like, it's not, there's nothing, let's not say that. There are some things wrong with some things. However, it would be good to look at different voices.
I dig it. Different voices. Okay, cool. Where can people find you?
I am all over the place. Thankfully, my name is very, unique. So Irisanya Moon, if you put that into a search engine, not AI, you will find me in a lot of places. But I do have a website. It's irisanyamoon.com. That is a place for who I am, classes. My books are being sold there right now, but I'm moving soon, so that will not always be the case. That will phase out soon. And also mentoring and things like that. I'm on all the social medias because I love dopamine. And I also, really like connecting with folks there. I have also a Substack, a newsletter that comes out about once a week. Sometimes it's more. It's always on Mondays, though. And it's called Heart Magic. And that's irisanya.substack.com. Some things coming up. I'm making a big move soon. And so everything's a little in transition. But if you follow me on social media or my website or my newsletter, I will be there updating about that. And I'm very excited, but I'll have more online classes soon. I am working on that in the midst of packing up my life. I'm also building a whole set of online classes because why not? Because I want to serve folks. It's going to be like the series is called Pantheon, and it's going to be a bunch of Greek mythology. And there's also going to be some writing classes coming up, and because a lot of folks want to write with me, and I'd love to do that. I have a lot of books. You can find me on Amazon. A lot of things coming up. And my latest book came out at the end of November, early December, called Pantheon, the Greeks. And it was all about the Greek mythology, cosmology, and cosmogony. And then my next book is coming out in the spring. I cannot remember what the date is. I think it's February or March. And it's on the Muses.
Very cool.
And in June or July, my book on Hecate is coming out. And then after that, I have several other books that are done. I just don't know their publication date. But after that is a priestess training, working with Aphrodite. Is a book. It's in book form. And the next book after that is like a devotion book, building relationships with deities. Then after that is Zeus. Stay tuned. I'm also writing a book with Llewellyn with a co-author, and it's on neurodivergence in witchcraft.
Oh, that should be That should be that's well overdue. I think we've needed that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think the trick is ever finishing it, right? I mean, I think that's kind of the joke that's laden in that. Yeah. I'm almost done with my part of the first draft, and so is my co-author. We're doing fine. So it'll be out in 2027. That's true. So.
Yeah, love that. That's a great idea. I'm surprised that hasn't been done yet. Seriously.
Right.
No.
Me too.
Kudos to you for thinking of that. That's great. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was wonderful.
Thank you. So fun. I'm glad we got started getting to know each other. I'm sure we'll be chatting again because there's a lot.
Oh yeah,
there's a
you're
lot
stuck
that
with me for life now.
Thinking about right now. We love it. We love it.
Love it. All right, and everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it on your socials and with your friends, your family, and everyone. Spread the word. Meanwhile, if you want to hear the rest of this conversation, you're going to have to go to patreon.com/weirdwebradio or go to weirdwebradio.com and click join the membership. Okay, stay weird out there, my friends. And it's bonus audio time. All right, Irisanya Moon. I can't speak. I'm tongue-tied. It's bonus audio
it
time.
Happens.
Irisanya Moon. Are you ready?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Have to stare at the big black foamy wall in front of me that I use for recording. My apartment has hardwood floors, so it's very echoey. I had to put all these little spiky things on the wall.
That's smart. That's very smart.
Yeah. It took me 1.5 years to figure that out, though. I'm not that smart.
I mean, sometimes it just, it has to be gradual.
So. Yeah. I tried an area rug first.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't work. All right. First question in Bonnie. I can't fucking speak. Don't worry. I don't cut any of this out.
I love it. Nor should you. Authentic. We're real people.
What famous person's resting place do you most want to visit and why?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Do you want to hear how they just answered that question? What famous person's resting place would you most like to visit? That and many others, including what they think about the afterlife, what they may or may not do in cemeteries, what are their traditions and magical practices that have to do with the dead, folklore that surrounds their homes, and so much more, available for only $5. $5 a month. Even if I make more than one episode in a month, it's still just $5 a month at patreon.com/weirdwebradio or go to weirdwebradio.com and click join the membership. You can find me on Instagram at weirdwebradio. You can find me on Facebook as Weird Web Radio or come join the new, fun, and exciting Weird Web Radio Facebook group. Thank you again for being here. Stay weird out there, my friends.